Welcome to the deep dive. You send us what's on your mind, those articles, studies, even big old PDFs, and we extract the core insights, the stuff that gives you that instant understanding. It's about getting informed efficiently.
And today we're tackling a really interesting piece you shared. Martial Arts for Your Mind and Body by David-Dorian Ross. Looks pretty comprehensive.
Absolutely. David-Dorian Ross is a name many might recognize, international master in Tai Chi, founder of Tai Chi Fit.
Right. And didn't he work with Jet Li?
He did, yeah. Collaborated with Chet Lai to bring Tai Chi to a wider audience. We're talking someone with decades in the fitness world, competitive success, award-winning books, DVDs. He's, deeply immersed.
What strikes me about Ross's work, or at least this source, is his ability to sort of connect the long traditions with how we approach health and fitness now. He clearly respects the history, but he's also very focused on the practical benefits for today.
So our goal with this deep dive is to look beyond the typical action movie stuff.
Yeah, beyond the kicks and punches on screen.
Exactly. We want to really get into the central idea here, that these aren't just about physical techniques. They're powerful systems for developing your mind, shaping character, enhancing well-being.
And the source explores this through, well, a whole range of styles. As we go through them, we'll point out the common threads, but also what makes each unique, drawing on Ross's insights.
Yeah, let's jump in then. One of the first things the source emphasizes is that martial arts are fundamentally more than just fighting.
Right. They're presented as paths for personal growth. That's key.
He makes that distinction, doesn't he, between a fighter and a martial artist?
He does. That's a really important point he makes early on. Someone could win every fight, but still be just a brawler.
If they haven't dealt with the inner stuff.
Exactly. If they haven't cultivated self-awareness, learned to manage their ego, those baser impulses, it's about that internal discipline.
It's working on yourself, inside out. And while the history goes way back, maybe ancient warriors.
Yeah, the source mentions Shaolin Kung Fu, 5th century AD. That gives you a sense of the depth.
It does. But the focus here is more on the styles prominent now in the 21st century.
Right, covering everything up to modern systems like Krav Maga. It shows quite an evolution.
Now, despite all the variety, there are common building blocks, right? Ross points out that fundamentally, a punch is a punch, a kick is a kick.
Absolutely. The source then kind of breaks down some basics, starting with stances, foundational stuff.
He outlines two main ones, the lunge stance and the horse riding stance. Like your body's platform.
Yeah, stable platforms for movement and power.
So the lunge stance, 1 foot forward, knee bent, like a gentle dip.
Sort of. Back leg extended but not locked. And he notes variations across styles, some straight or some deeper bends.
Okay. And the weight distribution, like 60-40.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
60% front, 40% back, both feet solid on the ground. It's about that base.
Gotcha. And the horse riding stance, that's the wide one.
That's the one. Feet wide apart, lowering your hips like you're sitting on a horse. And he gives that practical tip for getting into it, pivoting on heels and toes to get the width. Double shoulder width, roughly.
That pivoting tip sounds useful.
It is. It helps find the position. And it's all about creating a strong, centered posture. Spine straight, core engaged.
And he mentions being careful with your knees, right? Listening to your body.
Definitely. Safety first, especially with stances that can stress the joints if done improperly.
Then it moves to basic exercises, kicks and punches.
Yeah, the ABCs, as he calls them. Heel front kick, roundhouse kick, basic punch, things you see everywhere.
Okay, the heel front kick. Lift the knee first.
Deliberately lift the knee, then extend the leg, leading with the heel like you're pushing something.
Right, pushing away.
Engage the hips for power, and then bring it back under control. It looks simple, but there's coordination involved.
And the roundhouse, he uses a table analogy.
Yeah, that's quite helpful. Pivot on the spanning foot, lift the kicking knee, and imagine placing your shin across a table.
Oh, I see, to get the horizontal arc.
Exactly. Before adding that whipping or sliding motion, it's a whole body movement for power.
Makes sense. And the basic punch starts with the fist itself.
Crucial detail. He breaks down how to make a proper fist. Curl fingers tightly, thumb locks across them, protects the hand.
And aiming for the first two knuckles.
Right. Impact on those first two with a slight downward wrist angle for alignment and power. Subtle, but important. And the advice is start slow, right? Don't just wail away.
Definitely. Start slow, build up speed gradually, maybe to 3/4 speed. But avoid locking the elbow hyperextension is bad news. Build good habits.
Solid foundation. Okay, so after the basics, it dives into specific styles, starting with karate.
Yeah, karate gets a few lessons.
Yep.
Emphasis seems to be on power, directness, Sharp punches, crisp kicks.
Knee strikes, elbow strikes, open hand attacks too, and even some joint locks, grappling, throws. Quite versatile.
And the history is fascinating. Ryukyu Islands, Okinawa.
Right. Evolved from just te, or hand, then influenced by Chinese arts, becoming karate, meaning Chinese hand.
Until Gichin Funakoshi shifted it.
Yeah, changed kara to mean empty, empty hand. That's a big philosophical shift, isn't it?
It really is. And the potential link back to Shaolin Kung Fu, again, shows that interconnectedness.
Then the source outlines specific karate stances. Natural stance first.
Feet shoulder width, comfortable balance, fists tucked at the sides, ready.
And the front stance.
Step forward, front knee bent, back legs straight. A strong forward base. He suggests checking the video for exact dimensions, which makes sense.
Visual aids are helpful. And the specific exercises for karate. Mokuso.
Yeah, that seated breathing meditation at the end of class for calm mental focus, slowing the breath, letting go, like a reset.
10 minutes can make a difference.
Totally. And making fists properly gets emphasized again, one hand at a time.
Really ingraining the technique. Fingertips, touch palm, roll knuckles, lock thumb. Every detail matters for safety and effect.
And fist push-ups, that sounds tough.
It's a progression. Start on knees, maybe one palm open for support, then build up to both fists.
Still focusing on those first two knuckles.
Always protect the wrists. It shows how a standard exercise gets adapted for specific martial art conditioning.
Then there's the philosophy. No first strike.
Yeah, non-aggression, restraint. Makes you think, doesn't it? How often we react impulsively.
Adopting that mindset could change interactions. It's mental discipline, not just physical.
Choosing not to escalate. And the influence of Bushido, the samurai code.
Benevolence, courage, honesty, honor, loyalty, respect, rectitude. Big concepts.
It prompts you to think, which of those do I try to live by?
Okay, next up, Tai Chi. Quite a contrast, huh?
Big contrast. Known for softness, slowness. But the source immediately asks, how can that be effective martial art?
And the answer is?
Softness overcomes hardness, like water carving rock. Different kind of power.
Interesting. And its history. 17th century, Chen village.
Yeah, Chen Wangting's innovations, developing energy flow theories, reorganizing routines, creating pushing hands or Tai Shou.
That sensitivity training.
Exactly. Feeling and responding to energy. And the philosophy is rich Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, all blended in.
Ziran, authenticity from Taoism. Benevolence from Confucianism. Compassion from Buddhism.
Tai Chi is presented as this beautiful, moving synthesis of those ideas.
And it's an internal martial art. Meaning?
Dual meaning, really. Focus on cultivating and circulating internal energy, ki, and also on refining your character, becoming more centered, balanced.
The training tips emphasize flow.
Harmonious, synergistic, continuous movement, not just physically, but the ki flow too. And the advice for beginners is great. Focus on a pleasant feeling, allow mistakes, don't strive for perfection immediately. Find the joy.
The standing like a tree stance sounds almost meditative.
It is, kinda.
Yeah.
Standing meditation, aligning the body for free ki flow, shoulder width, relaxed joints, hands like hugging a tree.
Even tongue on the roof of the mouth.
Yeah, lots of subtle details to optimize energy flow. It's about bringing that mindful alignment into daily life too, noticing new perspectives.
And syncing the key for grounding.
Right, a way to calm down, find center. Plus that specific Tai Chi stepping method, heel first, smooth weight transfer. Balance and intention.
Then there's Yi, intention.
Deeper than just intention. Like highly focused desire, influenced and directed by your ki. Makes you wonder what you could manifest, right, if you really harness that. Moving on to Taekwondo, world's most popular combat sport.
That's what the source says. Relatively young history, under 60 years in its current form, but deep roots. Famous for those high kicks. Olympic sport, too.
Basics include the horse stance again, front lunges, various hand techniques, punches, chops, blocks.
And the uniform, the dobok with the D, the belt.
Right, indicating rank. Darker means higher than Dan levels after black. Similar look to karate and judo jis in some ways.
Shared heritage showing up. And the curriculum, forms, sparring.
The Pumse are the forms. Yarugi is sparring and breaking demos showing focus, speed, power.
The history is interesting, too. Post-WWII revival in Korea.
Unification of 5 schools, initially called Tae-Soo-Do, then General Choi Hong Hai pushed for Taekwondo.
Meaning way of the foot or fist.
Exactly. And influenced by the old Hwoarang code, courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit. Big emphasis on those.
And the kicks are the signature move. Front kick.
Often a warm-up, pushes opponent back. Side kick needs that hip opening for power.
And the roundhouse?
Hip and foot coordination, striking with the instep, engaging oblique muscles. Complex movements, really. Video demos are key. Beginner training focuses on those kicks, plus bouncing on toes.
For rhythm and endurance.
Yeah. And the Kai-Hap, the yell.
Which isn't just yelling, right?
No, it's a forceful breath expulsion. Adds intensity, focus, and finding your own personal sound for it.
Reframes it nicely. And the tenets come up again, especially indomitable spirit, resilience.
Definitely. Then the source asks that question. Is it a combat sport or a martial art?
Because the kooky one calls it a sport.
Right. So is the focus competition or the broader path of self-development? It's worth considering.
Okay, next. Qigong. Work in the Qui.
Or meritorious energy. More an umbrella term for energy work systems. Aiming to purify and harness inner life force. Like tuning your energy.
Ancient history here, too. Dance of the Five Animals.
Yeah. Attributed to Huatuo, warring states, period. Mimicking animal movements and breathing.
Benefits listed are developing intention, strengthening the body, energetic connection, even cultivating Wu Dei, martial virtue.
And connecting with the Tao. It's quite holistic. The source breaks it down into categories. Medical, spiritual, martial.
Medical for healing, like Five Animal Frolics. Spiritual for enlightenment, like the microcosmic orbit. Martial for enhancing prowess.
But there's overlap, right? A practice can hit multiple areas.
Yeah, and notes that. And the meditation aspect, refining Qi into Shenai, or spirit.
The microcosmic orbit meditation is key there. Circulating Qi up and down the spine along specific channels, Ren and Du, using acupoints as regulators, harmonizing internal energy.
Training tips boil down to alignment, breath, relaxation, visualization.
Key components for harmonious Qi flow. And consistency is stressed. Even short, regular practice makes a difference. Cultivating that connection. Okay, shifting gears to Kung Fu. Huge influence.
Direct or indirect influence on almost all Chinese martial arts. Foundational for many Asian styles. Strong spiritual connection, noted codes of honor, mental discipline, martial stoicism.
Inner fortitude. And the Shaolin Temple history is central.
Buddhism migrating to China. Buddhadra, then Bodhidharma, emphasizing direct experience through martial arts.
And linking it to character development. Wu Dei, martial virtue, learned through Wu Gong, martial merit.
Humility, respect, righteousness, trust, loyalty for the mind, will, endurance, perseverance, patience, courage, indeed.
And the crucial point, skill without virtue is just brawling.
That's a powerful statement. Then it gives White Crane Kung Fu as an example.
Shows the diversity, styles inspired by animals. White Crane has the crane fist, defensive postures.
And that theory of conserving and developing Jing. Life essence.
Yeah, for health and longevity.
Wow.
It's also adaptable, variable speed and power.
Training tips emphasize flexibility. Static, like yoga.
And dynamic light kicks and punches, slow speed, increasing range of motion.
Specific exercises. Dynamic front stretch. Light kick to forehead height.
Crescent kick, light sweep over a low object across the midline.
And straight punches using waist, hip, shoulder rotation.
Then specific White Crane stances. Crane horse, shoulder width, toes in, knees bent.
And 7-star stance.
Heel pivot to 45 degrees, balanced weight, knees bent and close. Stability plus agility.
And that concept of Jing, again, sexual essence or primal vitality, believed to be built up by White Crane practice, ties into that health and longevity idea.
Interesting connection. Okay, next. Judo. Japanese art, known for grappling. Throws.
Guided by maximum efficiency, minimum effort, Seiryoku Zenyo.
And the gi with the belt showing rank. Hierarchy of respect.
Founded by Jigoro Kano. Standardized the curriculum, transformed jiu-jitsu into a way of living.
Established the Kodokan school. And his belt system got adopted widely, didn't it?
Hugely influential. Judo spread west early, used in WWII training, Hollywood, first martial art in the Olympics.
The philosophy centers on Ju, gentle or pliable, meaning
Several layers. No weapons. Focus on grappling throws. Humility. And non-forcing, non-resistance. Melting away from force. Redirecting.
so refining body and soul for self-perfection and contributing to the world. That's the goal.
Training starts with rolls and falls yukimi, safety first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Learn how to land safely. Start slow on the knees, tuck the head, slap the mat to dissipate impact, build up reps.
Exercises like slapping the ground from your back
Beginning back break, fall from a squat.
and break fall from standing, keeping eyes on the belt for alignment.
It all builds that muscle memory for safety. And the evolution from jiu-jitsu is key.
From jiu-jitsu method system to do the way, more emphasis on philosophy.
Makes you wonder why that shift happened, the focus on the way.
Then we look at jiu-jitsu itself, gentle or pliable fighting art.
Using the body like reeds, bending, not breaking, leverage over brute strength,
Mm.
patience, understanding movement.
Key figures mention Mitsuyo Maeda, undefeated, Kano student, but maybe too aggressive.
Yeah, traveled the world fighting exhibitions. Crucially, taught Gestalt Gracie in Brazil.
And the Gracie's Helio, Royce developed and popularized it, emphasizing leverage, timing to beat bigger opponents.
Ground fighting specialists. The source gives basic exercises for that. Hip escape.
Lying on your back, push with one foot, slide hips away, roll, reach.
Develops ground mobility.
Oh.
And the hip switch, stepping one foot across, reaching, sliding bottom leg out, switching directions, coordination on the ground.
Okay, next, Muay Thai, the art of 8 limbs.
Devastating style. Elbows, forearms, knees, shins, fists, feet. Favored in MMA for close combat. Allowed clinches, elbows, knees before MMA blew up.
History goes back to the jungles, Thailand, Burma, Laos.
Used by soldiers. Evolved as empty hand because long weapons and kicks weren't practical in dense jungle. Direct violent style in origin.
But practitioners often gentle outside the ring. Philosophy of self-improvement.
Yeah. Can I simply be better than my opponent today? Constant striving.
Basic stance. Feet spaced, left forward usually, weight even, hands guarding face, breathe out on strikes.
Fundamental punches. Jab, lead, cross, rear body rotation, uppercuts, either hand, pivot, hooks, either hand, foot movement for power.
Basic kicks. Front teep kick, pushing, creating distance.
And the round kick targets the leg rear head from left to right, powerful.
Mirror exercises recommended for training.
Side-to-side footwork, slow motion shadow boxing, jab, cross, hook, uppercut, maybe overhand. Gradually adding elbows, knees, clench work. Fluidity.
And respect is important, like avoiding head kicks in training.
Yeah, head sacred, foot lowly in Thai culture. Always show respect to your adversary.
Then Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee's philosophy and not just a style.
Exactly. Rejecting formality, adapting continuously, having no way as way, having no limitation as limitation. Precursor to MMA, mix of styles.
Started with his Wing Chun training under Upman.
Then teaching in the U.S., studying tons of other styles, even Western fencing. Led to Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist.
Meeting attacks directly, efficiently, key techniques. Pak Sao.
One hand pushes deflects, other strikes simultaneously. Right push, left strike, or vice versa.
And Lap Sao.
Pulling motion with one hand, striking with the other. Left pull, right strike, etc. Simultaneous defense and offense.
Exercises mentioned. Pendulum kick. Quick low kick after opponent reacts high.
And distance drills.
Yeah.
Maintaining optimal range, avoid getting hit, but close enough to strike in one step. Practice against a target.
Philosophy. No style is style, intercepting before momentum builds.
Very dynamic and adaptable. Finally, Krav Maga.
No rules, practical self-defense. Israeli Defense Forces system, gaining popularity with law enforcement, security.
Combines elements from jiu-jitsu, aikido, boxing, wrestling, street fighting. Not pretty or elegant, purely functional.
Developed by Emil Lichtenfeld in the 30s, responding to fascist attacks.
Yeah, drawing on his diverse background. Focuses on principles, variations, solutions to problems, not rigid forms.
Winning is defined pretty starkly. Attacker stops wanting or being able to continue.
Underscores the practical, decisive nature. But there are ethical precepts, too. Nonviolence, restraint, no attack without real threat. Keep motives pure.
Avoid injury, dispatch opponent quickly if needed, deadly force last resort, restraint linked to skill level.
3 basic positions outlined. Position 1, neutral, hands down. Position 2, neutral, hands up, guarding.
Position 3, non-dominant leg forward, back heel up. Ready for movement.
Exercises include striking rhythms, shadow boxing, varied tempos for adaptability.
And witness conditioning, yelling back off.
Yeah, practicing vocal commands under stress, psychological preparation.
Mental aspects are crucial, right? Determination, concentration.
Mindset to do harm if necessary. Single-minded focus, training calm in chaos by rehearsing with noise and distractions.
And that guiding principle, be so good that you don't have to kill. Ultimate restraint through expertise.
Wow, that really sums up the highest level of skill and control.
So, as we've journeyed through this deep dive, based on David-Dorian Ross's work, it's clear martial arts offer just a remarkable amount of knowledge, practices way beyond just physical combat.
Yeah, influencing mental discipline, philosophy, personal growth in ways you might not expect at first glance.
And hopefully you, our listener, have gained a valuable and efficient understanding of these diverse disciplines and their core ideas.
It's been quite a tour through different approaches.
So here's a final thought to chew on. We've explored this whole spectrum of philosophies, different principles across these arts. which specific ideas really resonate with your own approach to challenges. Physical challenges, mental hurdles.
That's a good question.
And maybe how might incorporating even a small piece of a martial arts mindset, maybe a bit more focus, resilience, that commitment to self-improvement, how might that enrich your daily life?
It definitely makes you think. We'd really encourage you to explore further any styles or concepts that sparked your interest here. There's a whole world out there.
Absolutely. Lots to discover.